So, hello everyone. I love Austria, by the way. I've been to Vienna a couple of times, and from the times that I've been here, it's my favorite city in Europe. So, like he said, my name is Sara Vierra, kind of what he said. I'm actually a full-stack developer, and by full-stack he means Node, so yeah, JavaScript bullshit agent, basically, but on both ends. I am NikitaFTW on Twitter with 2 Ks. It will be, again, in the last slide, so don't worry about it. Really like football. I really like horrible movies like Sharknado. They give me life. Watching people try really hard and fail is what makes me happy as a Portuguese person. I work for a consultancy called YLD that is based out of London and Portugal, so if you like public transportation and shitty weather, or the opposite, like really good weather but shitty public transportation, we got you covered in any of those situations. Okay, so but my talk is not about development. The thing is, like, it's not about development. So, yeah, so the things are wrong on the actual pamphlet, so if you want to leave, that's fine, please leave. So my talk is actually a very serious topic. And the main problem that I have with serious topic is that I'm not a serious person at all. I'm not. I hide my pain with humor. So let's see how this goes, and let's try and have some fun while making fun of my life. So let's talk about mental health. The first time I gave this talk, it was at 9 a.m., so this one is actually way better. Thank you for not putting me at 9 a.m., because that was dreadful. That was not good. So the name of my talk is Your Brain Doesn't Have a Fixed Flag. Anyone uses ESLint gets it. I know it's a terrible joke. That's my specialty. I apologize in advance. But this is also due to the fact that as a millennial, I think I'm a millennial. I'm not sure I want to be, but I don't think I have a choice. We have a serious problem with instant gratification because things are given to us really fast. It's not like in the old days where you had to go to the supermarket. Amazon delivers shit to your house now. It's great. I mean, not in Portugal, but you probably get my point. I have to get in my car to buy cigarettes, literally, because it's like 20 minutes away by walking, so I just literally have to get in my car. But I lived in the UK for 3 months, so let's go with that. And we're so used to getting things fixed automatically for us and getting things in our house and getting awesome stuff just out of nowhere that we kind of forget that that's not real life, and that actual things that matter in life, like work and relationships and friendships and just life in general, doesn't work that way. And our parents lied to us when they told us we can be anything we ever wanted, and now we cry in bed at night, but yay, millennials, we're the best. So, as a disclaimer, I want to say that this is my experience. Your experience may be different. You may not even have an experience with this, and if you don't, I envy you from the bottom of my heart. Please don't have an experience with this. This is not how you want to grow up as a human. Just do your taxes. It grows you up the same way. Okay, so I'm going to start this talk with this quote that looks way better on my computer. But nobody realizes that some people expend tremendous amounts of energy merely to be normal. I saw this, it is by Albert Camus, and I saw this related to being an introvert and being really hard to talk to groups of people. And it also applies to this. The thing is, first of all, there is no normal. That is like the misconception of the world that someone is normal. But by normal, I mean fitting into whatever group you are in. If I say the word normal, it means that. It doesn't mean there's no normal. And people don't really understand that just because you look normal, just because you fit in, you may be just expending tremendous amounts of energy. That is not you sometimes. Just because someone looks fine, it doesn't mean that they're fine. It doesn't mean that they like being there. Maybe they just, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. You gotta do what you gotta do, boy. So, next thing is, why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because I think that it's an important topic to talk about, because there's not a lot of information out there. And about the specific thing that I'm going to talk about anxiety and panic attacks, it's one of those things where you truly believe you're going insane. You have two options, where you truly believe you're going insane, or you believe that everyone feels the same way, because you just got used to living like that. And this is why I'm talking about this, because we're growing up as a society, and I think this is really important. And you're like, okay, that sounds fair, but why the fuck are you talking about this? So I have a couple of mental disorders. I have a panic disorder, which will be like the main focus of this. I have a people phobia, which I will try to explain with my best English vocabulary. So a people phobia doesn't really mean you're afraid of people. Mine means that I'm afraid of rejection. And since I assume that people will reject me, I don't know. Brains are fucking weird, as we'll get through in this entire talk. And because of like the weirdness of my brain, I get like random depressions, because depressions are fun. And to anyone who's ever met me in real life or follows me on Twitter or anything that I post that has bullshit on it, this may be a surprise. Because I look okay. Like, I try to be funny. I don't know if I am, but I try my best. Please laugh. And thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes, please validate my life choices on this stage. Okay, so to some of you, this may be a surprise because I look okay. I look more than okay because I travel Europe, I do weird shit, and it's like, this girl looks cool. This proves my biggest point that I could ever prove in really bad lettering, which is mental health does not have a face. Just because someone looks fine, it doesn't mean that they're not dying inside, because mental health is not visible most of the times. It's really hard to explain that to someone, that it's like, just because I'm laughing doesn't mean I'm not dying inside. And, nice, thank you. This guy likes my weird humor, thanks, man. I hope he was a man. Okay, so, sup, guys? Okay, no. Shit, I got lost. So, the thing is, there are two people at my current job that have the exact same problem as I do. No, there was one other person. That makes two of us. Math's hard. Okay, so there's two people there that have this problem. And the thing is, we're the funniest people in the office. We make so much noise and so many horrible jokes that no one laughs at, but we laugh at ourselves, so it's funny. And this proves the point of, like, we are the ones who look the happiest, we're the ones who look the coolest, but we're pretty screwed up in the brain. And you're like, okay, that sounds fun. It is, thanks. But what is a panic disorder? Okay, so this is the definition that I got from the internet. I don't remember which website. It was just like the entire internet in general. I got this from Pornhub. No. Okay, so I want to point out that I don't actually write the jokes before. I just get very nervous, and this is how I deal with life. Okay, so a panic disorder is diagnosed in a person who experiences spontaneously, seemingly out of the blue, panic attacks, and are very preoccupied with the fear of a recurring attack. So, a panic disorder, in my opinion, is exactly this, but in order to understand it a little bit better, I think anxiety disorders are more common in the world, and basically a panic disorder is like an overblown anxiety disorder, which is like, imagine that you're having a conversation with your brain, and you're talking to your brain, and you're like, so what's up, dude? Oh, yeah, I'm a girl. What's up, girl? How you doing? And it's like, yeah, I'm cool. And your brain goes to you, and it's like, have you ever thought that the world may end tomorrow? And you're like, no, what the fuck? The fuck is wrong with you? No, everything's fine. No, the world's gonna end tomorrow. And you're like, what? And just your brain just goes into hyperdrive, and it's like, what? Oh, over completely random things. And you start feeling horrible about it. And also, I've heard someone explain an anxiety disorder by the simple fact of, imagine that you're sitting on one of these chairs, and you think you're so cool that you start tilting your chair to the back. And then there's that moment between you're sitting comfortably, and you're like almost falling, and the world seems like it's not in place. Does everyone know what I'm talking about? Yes, it's like that, but forever. And you're like, okay, cool. But what is a panic attack? Okay, so if you ever felt tremendous fear for absolutely no reason, and I don't mean when a car is about to hit you. That is normal. You should feel fear. You should be scared of cars. Cars are dangerous. I came from Italy. Cars are dangerous. So, but have you ever felt it for no fucking reason at all? So you're just standing in your desk or sleeping. I've heard people who had panic attacks when they woke up. So like, for no reason, you're just so scared, and you don't even know of what, and you may not even realize that that's fear. That's the main issue. So you get a bunch of symptoms that don't make any sense. So if you get a panic attack, you get really pounding and really fast heartbeat that you can't really control. And you start shaking all over the place because it triggers a fight or flight response in your body, but there's nothing to fight, and there's nothing to run away from, so you're just standing there like, what? You get really shortness of breath, and you get a lot of chest pain because you're stopped, and your body wants to run, but you can't run, and there's nothing to run, so it's weird. And you start feeling dizzy, or you actually faint, which has happened. This also comes with anxiety disorders. You start getting a lot of stomach pains. And when I was a small kid, I had a low blood sugar, so basically I had to eat for like every 3 hours. And when I started getting anxiety disorder and panic attacks, I got stomach pains. And from a very young age, I was told that when I had stomach pains, I had to eat. So you know how that turned out. I gained 20 kilos. That was fun. So I lost them. So cool. Yes, thank you. Just don't eat sugar. Thank you. And these two are really hard to explain. So feeling unreal or detached. The best way that I can explain this is if you've ever been in a room full of people and you know those people are talking because you can hear noise, but that's about it. You don't hear what they're actually saying. All you hear is noise. So it actually doesn't feel real. You don't feel real. And you get a fear of losing control or going insane because, like I said, it's a very weird thing to feel. So you truly believe that you're going insane. And the fear of losing control also is one of the reasons that most people who have panic disorders, a lot of people who have panic disorders don't drink because drinking makes you lose control. And so they stop drinking, which makes sense. I don't drink because of that. I mean, now I don't drink because it's going to be very, very sad. And you get a fear of dying. You're super scared that you're dying because it doesn't make any sense. Because if it's a mental problem, you should just be sad or something. You shouldn't be like shaking all over the place and not being able to walk properly. That doesn't make any sense. You're like, that sounds really horrible. You had a horrible like thing, right? Yeah. And the thing is, I lived like this for 5 years. And now you wonder, why the fuck? Like, are you dumb or something? I am not the smartest student in the branch. I failed math twice in high school, and I think that's kind of an achievement. But it's not that. It's the thing, the problem was that I felt alone. Because what I felt, it didn't make any sense. I was just randomly scared and randomly shaking and couldn't walk properly, and I was like, I don't know what the hell is wrong with me. So I felt alone because it was really hard to explain this to people. And exactly, all I felt was fear of like literally everything. Portuguese, I call this like a chicken disease because you're such a fucking chicken. And if you try to explain this to someone, it doesn't make any sense because you're just going to go to them and be like, I feel weird. Because the thing is, I had a really happy childhood. I have never felt that amount of fear until I started having panic attacks. Now I'm really scared of heights, but let's not talk about it. And teenagers, that My Chemical Romance song never got out of my head. And that doesn't make any sense. What are you going to tell someone? Hey, dude, what's up? I feel weird. Okay. Do you want some drugs? No drugs, kids. And I also want to point out this, that my main issue with any type of mental condition and disorder is that if you live with it for an amount of time and you are able to live a normal life, or what you think is a normal life, like I had a job, I paid my bills, I did things, I guess, and after a while, you stop believing that there's anything different than that, because that's how you've been living for so long, and it's not like your leg is broken. Nothing is broken from the outside, so you just believe that's how you're going to live forever, and no. There's never believe that. So you basically just come to terms with the fact that that's your life now. You're just different than other people, and you have more limitations than they do, and that's fine, but fuck no. That is not fine. You should never accept that you're broken, because none of us are broken. That's the thing. We're all screwed up in the brain, and that's fine. But what you feel, if you think that it's not normal, it's probably not normal. And there is a way out. I guarantee you that 99% of the times there is a way out, and you're going to be okay, and we're all going to be okay, and then you don't have to cry in the shower anymore. Okay, so, oh no, it's like it doesn't want me to show my picture when I was 19. Last time I remember feeling normal before I started taking the medication English is hard, is when I was 19. And this is how I looked when I was 19. I don't know. I've made really weird life choices. That led me here, so yeah. Just for funsies, here's the photo of my license, in which I want to point out that I was a real emo when I was like a teenager. You have no idea, but I'm wearing like a shirt like this and a tie because I was so cool. And yeah, that was the time when I listened to like Bullet for My Valentine and stuff. I don't anymore, if anyone asks. I listen to real music now, like My Chemical Romance. What did you expect from someone who likes Sharknado? Also, if you never watched Troll 2, please do. It's amazing. There's no Troll 1, and there are no trolls in the movie, so you know it's going to be good. I want to say that I'm not the same person. Like, I don't recognize the person in this photo, and that is good, actually. And I don't recognize the person in this photo. And because I grew up a lot. And I want to point out that I wasn't even funny back then. I wasn't at all. Like, I was a typical white girl. There was no Starbucks, but besides that, yeah. I wasn't even funny. Like, there was not a funny bone in my body. I became funny because people have different defense mechanisms. That's the thing that a lot of people who don't really know a lot about psychology fail to understand, is that most of the times what people are doing is a defense mechanism. Because when people started like seeing that there was something wrong with me, I just make jokes. And they forgot about what they were asking, and it started working. So I started making more jokes, and then it ended up like this. And people just eventually stopped asking because I just kept making jokes, and they thought I was fine. You have defense mechanisms. Since I wanted to be normal, I started making jokes, and there are people who have some depression and something that they just want to like disappear, so they just don't talk, because people have different defense mechanisms. So this is going to be a little bit of my story. Like I said, this is my experience. Yours may be completely different. So drum roll. Thanks. Thanks, man. I like this dude. So when it was like 20% of, that's not bad. Okay, so at first I didn't leave the house. This was about when I was like 20. And yeah, first I didn't leave the house. And I want to point out the fact that I didn't go to college because I had really bad grades. And also I didn't have any money. So just let's pretend it's some money. So I didn't have any money to go to college. And so I went to this like really weird thing that we have in Portugal that lasts for like a year and a half. And then you have an internship. And that thing was aimed at people that were already working. So it was at 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., which means that if I don't leave the house, I don't see the light of day, basically, except from my bedroom window. And like I said, I live in the middle, I know, I actually didn't say it, but I live in the middle of nowhere, and I lived at the middle of nowhere at that point, which my town has like 5K of people, which is less people than the Apollo Slack, for example, if you know GraphQL. And if you don't leave your house in a town like that, you really have nothing. Nothing delivers to your house. And then I try to fix it by myself, because the thing about us humans is that we think we're so incredibly smart. We think we're so clever and that we can fix everything. The world is going to be okay. So I tried to fix it by myself, and it obviously didn't work because I didn't actually know what was wrong with me. And I want to point out that thinking that things will go away, because that's how I managed this for the first 2 or 3 years, doesn't actually make them go away. I know, amazing. The secret of the book, The Secret, is a lie, okay? I'm just going to tell you this right now. Believing in something doesn't actually make it happen. And I have had 3 cars to prove this, because I remember specifically that I once had a car that was like a pit of money. Like, that car was just crap. And one time I was driving in the middle of Porto, and the exhausting pipe came out of the car. It just fell on the floor. And so basically what I did as like an incredible smart human being is that I picked it up and put it in the trunk of the car and continued driving. And yeah, so that car's gone. After about a year and a half, I started talking to my family and friends. At this point, I lived with my mom because my parents separated. It's fine, I was 16, it's a long time ago. No, okay. She also pointed out that my mom has the chronic depression since she was about 15, so she knows what's up. And after about a year, I started talking to my family, like my mom and everything, and my mom kind of understood. And I started talking to my friends, and my friends didn't really understand, but they were supportive. They're like, okay, you feel weird, that's cool. And you're like, finally a smart move. Yeah, it took me like a year and a half. I'm very smart. But things got better, because just the fact of you talking to someone, even if that someone doesn't understand, I'm assuming they're not like an asshole, and they just like dismiss you completely, but get new friends. But just talking to someone helps, because it releases so much of the pain that you have inside, because most of it is actually because you can't talk to anyone, because you feel so alone. And when you don't feel so alone, things are better. And I started leaving the house, and I started having more of a normal life, because this is when I got a job and everything, moved out of my mom's apartment, and I just had a normal life most of the days. The problems were still there. And I had really terrible days where I couldn't leave the house, and there were things that I just couldn't do. Like, I couldn't go to clubs or places that were closed spaces and stuff like that. But that was my life, I guess. Like, that was the best I was going to get. And that's just wrong. Don't settle for less than what you believe is possible. Don't do that. That's not okay. So I lived like this for about 3 years, and about 3 years in, I changed companies, and I moved to this amazing company that to this day I have no idea how I got into, and I became more active in the dev community. By became more active, I mean I started stalking people on Twitter. I didn't actually do anything productive. And this was good and bad, because I started getting better at my job, because I started caring about shit. And I started doing the new stuff, and I started wanting to do better things, and I started being like the person that people ask for advice, and that was wrong. It's still wrong, by the way. So I started getting way more responsibilities. Started being the person that deployed things to production. And Thank you. It's the first time anyone laughs at this. Thank you. And the thing is, I worked for a company out of America that was a betting company, and yeah, no. Not a good idea to deploy things on a Friday night by someone who's clearly not okay. But yeah, so the thing about that company is that that company was really cool. Like, we had a ping pong table. There was actually a table that we turned into a ping pong table. But we had a foosball table, and we had an Xbox that no one used because we also had a PlayStation 4. And, but it was great. I loved that company, and I felt super lucky to be there. But I also felt like I didn't deserve it because, you know, self-esteem is a bitch. And what happened is I started staying there for huge hours. Like, I never actually got in at 9, but I got in at like 10, and I got out at like 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10. And so there's a lot of people who take lunch to work, which is completely fine. But I got on the next level. Like, I took dinner to work. That is like a whole new level of what the fuck is wrong with you. So I took lunch and dinner. I also showered at work. But that was smart. Hey, my mom gets minimum wage, okay? I had to learn how to do a few things. No, I went to the gym. That was close to work. So I started feeling way more pressure than my brain could handle. But the thing is, I think I'm very smart, so I didn't actually see this. I thought I was fine, like completely fine. This is when I started like breaking down really hard. Because at this point, before this, I didn't really have a lot of panic attacks. I just had anxiety problems. I started getting very anxious and couldn't really go into closed spaces, but didn't really have a lot of panic attacks anymore. I started controlling it better until I tried to like be smart and be the person that deployed things to production. And by this point, I remember that I had panic attacks every day. But again, very smart individual, thought it would go away. So it was a semi-remote company. Seriously? So it was a semi-remote company, so I'd go to the office about 3 days a week, because that was the best I could do. And I remember that at this point, I would hide in the bathroom for huge amounts of time, just so I could get like the noise to go away, because the noise would not go away. It was just so much noise everywhere. I eventually moved back with my mom because I didn't feel safe where I was, because I didn't feel like my house was actually my house. It was also very, very bad. But that's not the point. I didn't feel safe there. So I moved back with my mom, and eventually went to work one day, and I had this huge panic attack, and I fainted. And I'm going to tell you something. Like, nothing wakes you up more than a panic attack. It's great. You should try it. Didn't even need coffee back then. And I think that is when people realized there was something like wrong with me. They was like, okay, maybe she's just not, it's not just weirdness. Maybe there's something actually wrong. But everyone assumed that it was physical because it was a physical thing. And I remember the next day I couldn't go out of bed. I couldn't get out of bed because I just felt super weak. Like, it was really hard for me to just walk. My body would not do anything. Super weak, like I said. And being a smart individual, I thought this would go away. So I waited for 2 days, and it got way worse. Remember that I had breakfast in bed and everything. And I also remember that my mom told me to go to the psychiatrist. And I didn't want to go to the psychiatrist. Like, I wanted to go to the emergency room because I truly believed that I was dying. I truly believed that I was going to die in the next couple of weeks, days. Like, this couldn't be mental. This has to be physical because the symptoms that I feel are physical. It's like newsflash. So mental problems can demonstrate in physical ways. And this is something that I honestly didn't know because I was such a noob. I didn't know about this. This is why when people tell you when they have a depression they can't get out of bed, it's not they just don't wanna, it's they physically cannot get out of bed. So don't tell them to go for a run. Because I tried to join the gym and I was sad and tired, so no. So I eventually went to the psychiatrist. And so because my mom said we could go to the emergency room afterwards, and I was like, yes. So I told him what was wrong with me in my very horrible Portuguese vocabulary. And he promptly said I had a panic disorder. And have you ever had an oh moment in your life where someone tells you something and you're like, oh, shit. So I had 2 oh moments in my life, and they both ended up with, oh, fuck. So the first one was when I found out I was gay. I was like, oh, shit, it's going to be fun. Then there was the therapist who was like, you have a panic disorder. I was like, oh, shit, this is going to be fun again. It's because it explained most of my life, because I always had anxiety problems, but not that big. So I was like, this makes complete sense. Okay. So he said that I probably should have gone earlier because, well, and only medication could help me now. That was very deep. And the thing is, I haven't skipped one single med ever since I went there. It was about 1.5 years. And I am the person that coughs for 3 weeks and doesn't take anything. So I'm that person that goes to work every day and coughs, and they're like, take some. It's like, I'm not going to put anything in my body, okay? My secret. You're like, so what did you learn? Mental health is hard. It's really hard because you don't take it seriously. It doesn't matter how much you believe you do, you don't take it as seriously as you do physical one. It's also as important physical one because it demonstrates in physical ways. And the only way to help yourself is to walk on your broken leg. If you break a leg and you go to the doctor, he's not going to tell you to do a marathon. If he does, change doctors. But he's usually not going to tell you to do that. But the only way to fix your mental problems is to do the things that scare you, is to leave your comfort zone and walk on your broken leg, which is incredibly, incredibly painful. The really good thing is that your comfort zone is basically your room, so it's really easy to find places that are out of your comfort zone, but it's incredibly hard to do everything that scares you. So I believe that the trend of Junior for Life is incredibly bad, because by saying this, we're perpetuating our problems and our doubts about ourselves, because we're continuing our imposter syndrome. And if you think about it, if everyone in this room is a junior, you're like, what the fuck am I? That's great, thanks. Oh, no, there we go. And you're like, okay, so you're better. So what changed in your life? I moved jobs, not because I hated that company, but because I wanted to change cities. And obviously moved cities. This is a photo in Lisbon. I moved to Lisbon. I lived in London for 3 months. This is the weather in London every day. It's perpetually 13 degrees. If it goes after 20 or below 10, entire public transportation stops. It's dreadful, dreadful. I bought a motorcycle because driving a car is not dangerous enough. And the thing is, there is a law in Portugal that you don't actually have to have a driver's license for a motorcycle to actually get one. You just have to have a car license for more than 3 years and be over 25 and butt down. That's what happened. I lost the 20 kilos that I gained, which was like, yeah, you fixed your own bug. I spoke in conferences. This is in Reactive Berlin. I went to Asian Conf as well. I went to some conferences this year, and I have some more. I met incredible people that I would never have met if I didn't leave my comfort zone. I met a lot of incredible individuals. I started contributing to open source, which is actually started doing it, which is good, because I started being ashamed of my code. It's like, you can do better, do it. Cool. I started liking football again. And you're like, that's so random. But I remember that when I was 16, I was really into football. Like one of those people. And then I started realizing that when I started getting better, I started becoming one of those people again. And now I have a season pass. I traveled alone, which is something that is completely impossible for me. And now this is like one that happened about 2 weeks ago. I was going to Verona, and I got stuck in Frankfurt for 13 hours alone. And I got this. I named him Kick-Ass. So I got stuck in Frankfurt for 13 hours. And we had a blast. This is us having coffee. And you're like, can he eat all of this? Yes, he did. I didn't take a photo. Crap. And we took a tour out of Frankfurt. It was great. This is the tour. Look at him. He's so happy. And this is when he started getting really pissed that our flight wasn't there yet, because it was 13 hours late. And I helped organize a conference, which was an incredible, incredible experience. And I also want to tell you that if you value sleep, don't do it. In any fucking way. And most importantly, I'm not scared anymore. I mean, I'm still scared of heights. I'm scared of random things like everyone is. But I'm not scared of life. I'm not scared of what's coming next. And I get to live my life now. What I want to say is, please speak to people. Whether that person is your friend, your parents, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your 3 boyfriends or 3 girlfriends. whoever it is, if it's a homeless person on the street, that's fine. Just talk to someone. Please get help if you think something is wrong, because you can get fixed and you will be okay, and everything is going to be fine, and I promise. There is a way out. Don't ever forget that there is a way out. My DMs on Twitter are always open. If you want to talk to someone that doesn't really judge you, talk to me. Just don't forget about the 2Ks. And I also, if you don't want to talk to me, that's fine. Most of the times, I don't want to talk to me, so that's completely fine. But just talk to someone. Just share your thoughts and your horrible, horrible feelings with someone, because I truly believe and I truly can say that it helps. So thank you so much, Austria. My slides are there.